Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's Knowledge Injection webinar by solutionXchg on compliance and retention for SAP document and data archiving. We're glad you can attend this morning and hope you will find the topic interesting. My name is Kristen Gerling, and I will be your host and presenter for this session. A little bit about myself. I'm a managing partner with solutionXchg and have close to 18 years of consulting experience on various SAP modules, as well as 11 years of experience in the SAP archiving and imaging field. Let me give you a few administrative items up front. Our presentation today will take about 15 minutes. All participants are on mute during the full duration of the webinar. Please post any questions or concerns through the questions panel in your administration panel on the right side of your screen. If you cannot hear us or cannot see the presentation, please also alert us through this question panel. We will send out a transcript to those who are interested after the webinar. Please let us know through an email to info@solutionxchg.com. That is info@solutionxchg.com. But let's start with our quick webinar right away. Today's topic is compliance and retention for SAP document and data archiving. This will take us to a more infrastructure related topic than our previous topics on imaging and data archiving in the cloud, or the one from last week. And before I start, I would like to go over some definitions of what compliance and retention actually mean and why we are talking about this. Well, compliance is the act of doing what you have been asked to or ordered to do. And retention is the act of the ability of keeping something for a certain number of years. Where does this come from, and why does it play a role when you're talking about SAP document and data archiving? There are international federal regulations that do require, or even state regulations that do require businesses to actually follow their guidelines regarding these two items, compliance and retention. You're being told how many years you have to keep a record in its original state, as well as that you are legally bound to do this. And some of these regulations I've listed here on this slide. SOX is a well-known one, Basel, Dodd-Frank in the finance industry, HIPAA in the healthcare industry. These are the kind of regulations that require our customers to actually safeguard any archived file and preserve it in its original state for a certain number of years. Let's look a little bit more about compliance and what it all entails. Compliance, as I mentioned in my previous slide, is something that is regulated by regulations such as SOX or Basel 2 and actually now 3. Another one, a state example, would be the California Government Code with the number 12168.7. All of them state that data must be kept in a tamper-proof format that is specifically relevant when you're scanning a paper document and you're discarding that original. You are responsible to be able to prove at any point in time that this document has not been changed, or that if it becomes backup information for example, an SAP transaction, you are bound to prove that the document has not been deleted, that you can still access this original in the case of, for example, financial documents in the US for a period of 7 years. This leads me to the next point, retention handling. Any solution that follows these compliance requirements has to be able to set retention parameters on an individual archived file level so that you can safeguard this file up to its retention date that then allows you a delete or change to that file. Data cannot be deleted, again, until this retention date has been reached, and that is handled through worm technology. Write once, read many times. If you're thinking about an archive and the requirements for it, in these regulations it states that you have to have that archive data in a migratable state. That means that provision has been put in just because our technology is moving and changing all the time, and we need to be able to, if we store something on a device that is such a compliant archive, we need to be able, when this device has been taken out of commission, or we need to upgrade the device to a more modern technology, we can migrate that data as well. And the last point is that access to individual archived objects must be possible at all times. If your data that you're storing in such an archive is business mission critical, you must be able to get to the data 24/7. But still, even if it's not mission critical, for litigation, you must be able to present the data that you've archived in a reasonable time frame. Now, the key to all of this is worm technology, and when you look about the evolution of worm technology, we have to think of how this all started. I mean, the technology pieces that were there in the beginning, those were our optical jukeboxes. Similar to like the music jukebox, it was a device that could handle specific platters, and it had read and write slots, and basically in order to delete the data you had to basically break that platter. There was nothing there. It was a write once, read many times media, physical media, that made sure that you could keep and that you could comply with these different regulations as far as the data being tamper-proof and so on. Now, this optical jukebox technology has evolved over the years, and new devices came on the market. The first one was EMC to bring out their EMC Centera, and NetApp followed shortly behind it with NetApp SnapLock Filer. Now, these devices are what I just said, a device. So it is a piece of hardware actually combined with a piece of software, but it is like a black box. It's got proprietary formats, and it is a new object in your data center. I would like to now introduce you to something a little bit more modern, more flexible, but allowing for the same security mechanisms that an EMC Centera or a NetApp SnapLock Filer can provide, and that is our Eternity Icast solution. Let me explain this major layer cake here a little bit for you. On top we have our business process applications, and that could be an SAP system. For Eternity Icast, we actually work with we can work with other systems in your corporate environment as well, not just necessarily regarding SAP data or documents, but for today's session we'll focus on having an SAP application sitting at the top here of our layer cake. The second layer here is a business document management application, and here we can have our Eternity solution is certified for many different ISVs, OpenText being one of them. We do have integrations with Documentum, FileNet by IBM. There are other systems that can use this, for example, Semantic Enterprise Vault for email archiving, Oracle Stellent as a different application. We also have PACS solutions for the healthcare market, like GE Healthcare or Fujitsu PACS Infinity. Various different business document management applications that can integrate or are certified to work with our Eternity Icast solution. Now, let me get to here that Eternity Icast layer. Eternity Icast is a software, a middleware sitting on top of NAS or SAN storage, and that can be by various different manufacturers, turning it into a worm-compliant archive or a modern jukebox. It provides the retention management, it provides encryption, it provides self-healing of files that get corrupted, that can get corrupted. It does compression and so on. So it is a middleware sitting on top of NAS or SAN storage, but then interfacing with the business applications on top. How is that done? It basically consumes either a UNC path or CIFS-mounted directory from that storage and shares out a virtual file system to that business application layer. And through this virtual file system, these business applications can actually talk to Eternity. Eternity then creates what it calls a CSC file, a content storage container. It's a patented technology, which then is being stored on the actual NAS or SAN device. Now, if you're talking about an archiving solution, basically your solution consists of the three bottom layers. The ISV application layer, and then your storage and Icast as basically replacing the devices that EMC offers with their Centera or NetApp with their SnapLock filer. So this is the storage and Icast layer. This is the ISV layer. Now, with having the software and the NAS or SAN storage infrastructure disconnected and not as one logical device like the competition like EMC or NetApp does, allows you as a customer to have a lot more flexibility. And that flexibility first of all, starts when you're purchasing this device, because you don't have to scale it to a to your potential future growth right from the beginning. You can do a pay-as-you-go model where you just buy Icast licenses for as much storage that you need, and you equip your NAS or SAN storage, or you use what you've already have existing in your corporation or in your data centers to actually save the data that you have when you're starting archiving. And then you can add on to this. Eternity Icast is flexible enough. It can combine NAS or SAN devices from various different manufacturers within one configuration, so you can max out on what your data center already has as far as free LUNs to build this archiving platform. Let's talk a little bit about what are the main key principles that Eternity Icast has been built upon. The first one is security, and Icast provides this highest level of security using that patented content storage container technology. Beyond that, it also does self-healing, backup optimization. It has a data migration tool called iCopy that allows you to do data migrations from one device, one NAS or SAN storage device to another, using copying mechanisms, but also auditing and logging mechanisms so that your data migrations are fully logged and the integrity of each file is being checked while it is being copied. The next thing it does is with this iCopy, with this data migration tool, is it allows you through the Icast administration console, you can configure this migration by having designated read and write paths that there's zero downtime when you have to do this for the actual business user community. But there are some other features that are related to security as well that I want to share with you. Eternity Icast uses to store its files a 512-bit hash code following the industry standard HMAC SHA 512. And it also does integrated compression and encryption, and here we use industry standards as well, AES 256. The application, the software, is built as a .NET application, can run on any Microsoft Windows server or web server, is a web service basically. It doesn't have to be a physical server, it can be a virtualized environment that this software can run in, and it provides you with a Department of Defense certified compliant data shredder, which means that every time you are actually allowed, according to your retention rules, to take data off of the system, you can delete it by using this data shredder, and it does multiple overrides over the section where this data was stored. Eternity can be installed in a Microsoft cluster environment and provide high availability with that, or in a virtual environment where you have an active-passive configuration where once one virtual machine is up and running, if that goes down, you switch on the second virtual image. And last point for security, the self-healing functionality is that Eternity can write to two separate devices at the same time, and has self-healing capabilities by comparing basically these hash values on both sites and figuring out which one is the corrupted file and which one needs to be repaired, and it'll do that automatically in the background, and you can schedule these jobs to run on a frequent basis or just as an overnight activity. The other key principle is flexibility, and here Eternity focuses on its large ISV matrix. That means document management applications that it supports. I mentioned before, we have OpenText, Documentum, FileNet, HP Trim, Autonomy from HP, the PAX solutions, the various email archiving solutions like Semantic Enterprise Vault or Commvault, and also our KGS solution that solutionXchg is actually promoting in the North Americas. When we talk about flexibility, we also have to consider that Eternity supports all the major virtualization engines. So the Windows server can be virtual, it can be a VM image, it can be a Hyper-V image, it can be Citrix Zen. You name your flavor and we can work with it. The third and last principle is cost efficiency. Because this is software and because you have the flexibility to change your infrastructure underneath it, to license the software in a way so that you actually only pay for what you're using today and not for what you might be using tomorrow, this software is very cost efficient. The other nice thing about our licensing module that, it comes in 1, 5, 10 terabyte increments and can be grown to a large corporate archive, not just SAP related data, but many other data from many other applications, is that you don't have further additional license costs if you're replicating your archive data to additional storage systems. That means that if you're saying, oh, we have a disaster recovery site and we need the same data being available instantly on that disaster recovery site, our license model, unlike the competition where when you're buying a full device, you have to have a true copy of that device in your data center, our software is capable to do those simultaneous writes to two different data centers, two different storage, NAS or SAN storage products, or the same, depending how you configure your data centers, and you're not being charged for that additional data. Our license model consists of a volume license as well as a server license, but that replicated archive data volume is not licensed additionally. And another nice feature is that you can always transfer your license from one device to another. Like, let's say you've invested in a specific NAS or SAN product today, and 5 years this expires, or you want to upgrade to some more modern technology. We can help you with the data migration, but it does not affect your Eternity licenses at all. Let me close the technical piece of it, or the focus on the Eternity Icast piece of this presentation, by sharing with you some of our reference customers, and the list. I mean, this is just a few, but I want to highlight at least one of them, and that is Deloitte for you. Deloitte basically emphasizes that this solution is a solution that is certified for its WARM compliance, but also that an auditing company chooses it for its SAP data and document archive data in combination with OpenText, shows you that this is a reliable product, and an auditing company that is actually using it. The solution has been certified by KPMG. Reasons why these customers chose Eternity is part of it is the security, like the KPMG certification, the WARM protection, that the list of ISVs is constantly growing, the list of document management applications that are supported, that you can have in parallel run with your Eternity Icast installation, and the large list of reference customers. Also because of its flexibility, and that is, various storage devices are supported from various manufacturers, but also the virtualization, that you can run this in a virtualized environment, picking your virtualization platform, and that allowed a lot of customers to quickly implement this solution, and they're very happy with it. Last but not least, of course, the cost efficiency arguments. It's the license model of pay as you go, and another highlight has been mentioned to us why customers chose this solution was that we are one of the few vendors out there that can provide a data migration to a new hardware platform without any downtime. Now this concludes the section on Eternity Icast. I just briefly would like to share with you who and what SolutionXchg is. SolutionXchg is a software integrator company providing consulting services for different types of software packages that are listed here by the logos. And the consulting services range from business process analysis, SAP module customizing, project management, enterprise content management, consulting services, data archiving services, etc. We focus on document management and data archiving, and so do our products that we're showcasing here. XFT, we have as a business enhancement company. XFT has a very nice electronic personnel file solution and a great AP invoicing solution, which we'll showcase in our next series of our knowledge injection series. KGS is our content server technology. The KGS content server for SAP is a competitive solution to OpenText, Documentum, or FileNet if we're just talking about the larger players on the market. And then we have, of course, Eternity Icast, which I've talked to you about in this presentation, but also PBS, who maybe some of you are familiar, PBS has data archiving modules that allow you to present to the user community archived data similar to how online data is presented. If you think about SAP and its data archiving capabilities of viewing archived data, not every module is the same. Some modules allow you to look at the offline data in the same way as the online data, some don't. PBS and its modules bridges that gap. And then we have products by TJC which are also related around data archiving. The TJC Archive Session Cockpit is a solution that allows you to administer all your various and monitor all your various data archiving sessions and runs and jobs that you have from a central location. And the Audit Extraction Cockpit is a solution similar to DART, but going beyond DART as far as that you can actually do data extracts of online as well as offline data with this tool. Now, this concludes my presentation for today. I hope you found it interesting, and I would like to open the floor for questions. And again, please post your questions in the right-hand questions panel. So far there's no questions. Well, I'll give the audience a couple more minutes. If we don't get any questions, that would be it for today. Okay, here is one question. If I could explain the license model again. Eternity Icast is licensed using a node component, which is basically a per server license component, and a terabyte component. And the terabyte increments are 1 terabyte, 5 terabyte, 10 terabyte, 20 terabyte, 100 or 250, and then going into a petabyte level. There's also a per socket license, which is relevant if you're running a larger data center and you have multiple clients on it. It can be beneficial to look into the per socket license. Okay, no more questions, so thank you very, very much. Please, again, if you would like a transcription of the slides, contact us at info@solutionXchg.com. We'll gladly send out the presentation to you, and thank you very much for attending, and have a great rest of the week. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.